weird kind of static sound. Yeah, just like. There's no more static now. It's too cold.
Like the picture is smears.
Once I get it squeezed out, which is really close. And then also do that.
I want to go put on another jacket, but I know I'm going to start sweating then.
Yes. Oh, we'll start walking soon. So yeah. We are like right in the middle of all the people. We are like there's. It looks like there's a Hello, everybody that's watching this. We're live in St. Paul at Kellogg Park right now. For a rally to stop the Line 3 pipeline.
We're going to play a song to start us off this afternoon. It's an adaptation of an old Union song, Which Side Are You On? But adapted to our current context, we call it Which Side Are You On? Waltz. There's some folks around who have lyrics. Feel free to sing along with us, hum along. Yeah, thank you for being here.
We're live in St. Paul, Minnesota right now on Kellogg Boulevard, downtown St. Paul. We're on a bluff right above the Mississippi River, right behind this crowd of people here. We've gathered at this park and we're going to march to the U.S. Corps of Army Engineers.
what year is it?
I know. Like, we've got half the people in the Minnesota government being all like,
Yeah.
climate correction and all this stuff.
It's so weird how they're trying to play both sides.
I know.
You know, climate change is the most important crisis, and then at the same time allow this to be built.
I know. Can't wait to not have to wear a fucking mask.
I know. Fingers crossed. Maybe this year. Yeah.
I hope.
I'm already at low battery.
Oh no!
The phone. The old phone.
Normally I have a backup battery, but I forgot to
I
bring
do
them.
have them, but I don't know. I can't have microphone hooked up at the same
I
time.
know. I don't like that. All the adapters that I found for, because you can split the thing. But
I
it
do
doesn't
have
work
one of
for
them.
my.
I do have one, but it's one's just like audio, and the other one is for power.
Yep,
Do you have an iPhone too?
I do. Yeah.
I brought another iPhone too, but I don't think I'm hooked up to Facebook. That's the problem.
Oh.
But you're covering it. I should try and
Yeah.
share it online.
There's a lot of little strings going all over.
Well, yours is a big screen.
Sometimes.
Have you been doing any more up there? Up north?
I've gone a couple more times, but not for a few weeks. I need to go again.
So tomorrow, Omar is going to be up in the
St. Paul right now, downtown at the intersection of Kellogg and Robert, for a march and rally to stop the Line 3 pipeline that is currently being constructed in Minnesota. The Line 3 pipeline has been advertised as a replacement line, but it's not replacing the current line. It's going to run a new route and go under the Mississippi River and numerous bodies of water. We're on the edge of a bluff right now overlooking the Mississippi River. It's right over there, behind all the people.
Welcome everybody. Let's give it up to the Michigan dancers, please. You know, it's beautiful to see this incredible turnout. I'm completely humbled. I'm at a loss for words to see the commitment, the dedication, and overall the will to stop Line 3. But you know what? It goes further than that. We wouldn't just be out here in the cold for just a pipeline. You being out here is an example of your commitment to Turtle Island, to Mother Earth. And for that, I say to you, Chi McGwitch, give yourself a pat on the back, y'all. Now, we have a host of speakers that will be coming up and giving us the good word, as you will learn of the many ways you can get involved. As you know, there is so much to do when it comes to this work and this pipeline, you know, and just bear with me, you know, come here with an open heart, an open mind, give space to the elders to come forward. You know, give space to each other. It's COVID out here. You know, they say they got a Brazilian strain out now. So, you know, there's a Mexican one as well or something. You know, just please, 6 feet apart, wear your mask at all times. And don't feel scared to call somebody on BS if they're walking without a mask. If not, notify one of the marshals walking around or one of the brown berets and we'll get them straight. I'd like to open this up with our first speaker, Crystal. Is Crystal here? No? No? All right, last call for Crystal or Maggie. I saw them earlier. I know they're here. No? All right.
Do you want?
Yeah. Well, that was our land acknowledgement, but you'll get one from me.
Hey.
Heck yeah. Now, we have to be real. We are standing on Dakota land in the occupied state of Minnesota, in the colonial kingdom of so-called the United States. We have to acknowledge that this pipeline is the result of imperialism. It's not just about the fossil fuel industry. As we begin to talk about a just green transition, we have to include what that looks like for Indigenous and BIPOC people. Because we're the ones that face the brunt of so-called progress. So as we acknowledge whose land we are on, we must first make it a point to include them at the table. Tribal sovereignty, as well as their citizens, deserve a seat at the table, and their interests deserve to be upheld when decisions are being made, because many of us are privileged. Where do you think that water comes from that comes out of your tap? Where do you think the gas that heats up your home comes from? You know? And as you think about these things and what needs to be done, make sure to make it a point to always remind yourself whose land you're on and how you're going to honor Native people at the decision making. All right. Now, talking about decision making, I'd like to open up this space to legislators and electeds and other important people with fancy titles to come up and say some words. Those that have not been confirmed to speak. So please come up, honorary important people. Oh. Where is it? Okay. While we're waiting for the important people, let's get another important person up. Sam, the executive director of MN350, please come up and stand right here. Bonjour. Anin. Good afternoon, family. Thank you for loving the land enough to be out here in the cold. Thank you to the dancers for being out here in the cold. Thank you for Joan for the land acknowledgement and setting this up. Thank you to all of you who did all you could to transition us out of number 45 into number 46. That was a necessary gain, but now we have a whole lot of work to do. In the first few days of this new administration, they have begun to do some things that are very constructive and are on the right track. Stopping Excel. Now we need them to go further beyond saying no more fossil fuel infrastructure and pay attention to the fossil fuel infrastructure that our governor and our Minnesota Pollution Control Agency have wrongly allowed to begin construction. We need President Biden, and I want you to say it loud as F. Stop line 3. Stop line 3. President Biden, Vice President Harris, thank you for stepping in at a critical time on the earth. All of us earthlings together are speaking to you with one voice. There's more work we need you to do. Construction has begun. Destruction of the forest has begun. Continued violation of treaty rights has been extended on Turtle Island, and we're asking you to stay and to stop line 3 today. It's already past 5 o'clock in Washington, D.C., so go ahead and stop it tomorrow. But we need you to stop line 3. When the MPCA and the governor decided to allow this permit, they used a form of thinking that is not fit for the 21st century. They decided that using narrow-minded thinking, that it made sense to go ahead and allow line 3 because the water regulations were stronger now than they would be in January, which we're in now. We said very clearly to allow line 3 is a violation of climate integrity, and to allow line 3 is a violation of treaty rights. And they said, and I quote, treaty rights have no bearing in the way we're thinking about this. So I'm asking all of you, all of our relatives here, to recognize that all people are treaty people. Say it. All people are treaty people. We all have an obligation to learn how to use microphones.
We all have an obligation to honor the original people of this land and to defend treaty rights as though our own lives depend on it every single day. That is a basic beginning to becoming into right relationship with the land we're standing on right now and the original people of this land and with each other. I guarantee you, if we honor treaty rights and we honor our original people, all of us will be happier, all of us will be healthier, and the land will sing right along with us. It's time to stop the illusion that we can do better by destroying the earth and thinking about short-term gains at the expense of long-term wellness. Climate integrity and relational integrity are fundamentally bound to each other. Fundamentally bound to each other. I apologize, I didn't pass the class on microphone use. What would help?
And they just hold it right up to your mouth.
Yes, sir. That's my teacher, Andy Pearson. And he's a good teacher. Well, we'll see if he's a good teacher, if this works. It's working so far. So, I don't want to take too much time, because I'm hoping that the three of the Magnificent Seven, some new legislators who are coming into Minnesota and who are committed to throwing down with us to defend the intersectionality of racial justice and climate justice, want to come and talk about the level of commitment they're bringing and to invite you to help them stand strong against a state that calls itself a state that follows the science, and yet 36 of the senators in Minnesota are climate deniers. How is that possible? It's unacceptable, and we have to let all of the people living in the districts of those 36 senators who are climate deniers that their time has come and gone. It's necessary that they can't stay in office as people who are denying the reality that we're living in. Not only the climate reality, but the racial justice reality that we're living in. So we have to move together as people and practice as democracy in motion, the kind of energy that transitions out all toxic energy in people and in behavior of people on the earth. Let's begin that journey with each other. The future is in our hands and in our hearts, not in people who are in office, not in people who are running our corporations. It's up to us. And we have been making the mistake for too long of giving people trust that hasn't been earned. And we have broken ourselves in relation to each other, and we don't trust each other like we need to anymore. So we have to heal our relations and come together. One people, one land. One people, one land. One people, one land. So I want to invite up Senator Murphy. Is she here? Where are you? I don't see you. And invite up Jen McEwen and invite up. Where's my people? Oh, good.
Yeah. And before we hear from them, we have some Dakota relatives, as you know, as I briefly mentioned, as Sam said, about bringing our relatives to the table, giving them space to talk, to voice themselves. We have here Reverend Maggie Lawrence from ConTP to come give us some words real quick.
Hami takuyaki. Chante moaste na peachiu zapie. Chante moaste ya dayan ya hipi. Thank you all for being here. It makes my heart happy to see so many people out here to protect Onchimaka, our grandmother Earth. As Dakota people, we believe that the water is the blood of our grandmother. And it's our responsibility to be good stewards of this land and this water. Before I say anything more about myself or my organization, I want to ask my nephew to come and share a song. Chris Lagarde. He's going to start with a prayer song, and water song.
Is photos okay?
Wait, wegede wechebe madeze ya hey ha hey ha hey ha mewa bodosha ne bebe ne kwe ne gosha wegede wechebe madeze ya hey ha hey ha hey ha
So I won't take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to let you guys know a little bit about myself and the group that I'm with. My name is Maggie Lorenz, and I'm the Executive Director for Lower Phelan Creek Project and the Walcon TV Center. We're a Native-led environmental nonprofit group right here in St. Paul on the east side, and we work to protect some of our sacred sites and burial sites over here in St. Paul. And so while we support the Line 3 efforts and we support DAPL, the fight against that, and all of the other fights in Indian country across Turtle Island, we also have work to do here at home. And so I just want to encourage all of you to look to what's happening locally in your own communities. Look to what's happening to those sacred sites. Learn about the land that you're on. You know, as Dakota people, we are not a loud people. We're very modest, and we don't ask for a lot. We don't speak up for ourselves as much as maybe some others, but we try to be respectful of all of our relatives. And so I ask, when you organize things like this and gatherings, to not forget about the people who are original to this land that you stand on. This is Dakota land. I'm going to pass the microphone off to our events coordinator, Michelle Bowman from Sasitoa, Okpetua, Oyate.
Michelle Bowman Amakiapie, de Sisito encore Peton Yade Mataha, Ampetigde Nina Yomakpi. Hello, my relatives. My name is Michelle Bowman. I come from the Wana family in Sisseton, Wapiton, Oyate in South Dakota. Today, I am really happy to be here, really happy to see all these faces, all these non-native faces and native faces here fighting to protect our lands and our waterways. As Dakota people, we believe mani is our first medicine, one of our first medicines, that when we enter this world, we come from our mother's womb that's wrapped in water. And when we come into this world, those tears that come out of our eyes remind us of that medicine. Today, we wanted to come here in solidarity with our Anishinaabe relatives to say and to demand that President Joe Biden revoke these permits and uphold our treaty rights, Anishinaabe treaty rights. Niniwi water is life. Without water, none of us would exist. None of us. Absolutely none of us. And so it warms my heart to see everybody here, but I want to uplift with what my Mashke Maggie said, that we are all here out of good reason, but if we organize without the intention to center Native people and to uplift Native women, femmes, Two-Spirit, trans folks, our relatives that will be most affected by these pipelines, we are just continuing that violence. So when we organize and we're in spaces like this together and with each other, we have to center our women. Oh, sorry, not used to speaking or seeing all this many people. I want to say Kiramaye. Thank you so much for coming. And Nono, do you want to say any words?
I'm going to hand this off here to my niece, Winona Owen. She's a strong advocate for Unchimaka and for the waters. She's been to Hawaii to protect our mountain. and she's always doing what she can for the people. She's a strong leader and she has good, strong voice. So I'm happy that she's here today and willing to share some words with you guys.
My name is Winona Owen. I come from Tintawita, or the Prairie Island Indian community. I've been actively fighting for since I was 15, and I'm 20 now. We live in a world that's plagued by greed, especially by those in power. Where with nearly no incentive, we show up for them and we vote for them and we organize as communities of color, as people. They're giving us faceless claims and we show up in record numbers for them. And what are they doing? And this fight has been going on for too long. It's a long and gruesome fight, and I think it's important that we keep going, that we protect our water and our earth and the things we love that keeps us fulfilled. But like I said, it's a long and gruesome fight, and I'm so grateful to see everybody here amongst a pandemic, fighting for water, fighting for people, and fighting for our future generations. So, Hidamaya, and have a good day.
Give it up for them, please. I would like to say a Chimagwich to our Dakota relatives for standing side by side with us, because they bring up a lot of great points. Let's acknowledge them for bringing the Manilu into this space, as well as Iroots, Chimagwich for bringing the Manilu, their spirit into these spaces. We have to uplift our women, our two-spirit, lift up their voices, listen to them, give them leadership positions, bring up the voices of our youth. That's our future. But that's a very indigenous teaching, a value, that it's not about me or some other person in power, but it's about the future and that next generation. And so, speaking of power, honestly, I'm excited to invite Mary Kanish, Jennifer McEwen. You guys are amazing. Thank you for clapping at Pete Stauber, that son of a bitch. But that's enough from me. Please.
Shante. 4 years ago, I could not utter those words. Even though my family, even though I come from a long line of strong Lakota, Standing Rock women and men, I've been displaced from my community all my life. My grandfather left the reservation and came to St. Paul during the relocation. And even though he instilled in us the pride of our heritage, we weren't in that community. But we knew in our heart that we belonged to the land and the land belonged to us as Dakota people. But fortunately, 4 years ago, I was elected to the House of Representatives, and we created the very first Native American caucus. 4 women for the first time in our history
were able to create a caucus of Native American interests, fighting for Native American rights, fighting for treaty rights and sovereignty rights, and believe it or not, we got shit done. But along that way, I was so blessed to be encouraged and supported and mentored and taught by people like Maggie Lorenz. She's the one that taught me my language. Here I am, you know, in my mid-50s, and finally learning my language and how that roots you to the ground. So when I talk about some of the great things about being an elected official, I would say the number one thing is being connected back to my ancestors. And that connection brings me here today. And it brings me here today with hope and honor, but it also makes me so worried about the future. The future of this land that we stand on, the future of Turtle Island, because we have people making decisions without us. And that has been the way it has always been for our Native folks. And so when Sam made the comment about those that were able to make the decision that treaty rights or sovereignty didn't matter or didn't factor into the decision to allow Line 3 to go forward, I'm sure that every single one of us felt that rumble of horror and fear. And the fact that, well, there's an executive direction out there that we are supposed to all our government agencies and people are to recognize the sovereignty and the treaty rights of our American Indian people here. Once again, it is discarded when it suits those who want to run these lines through our country, through our state. And we all know this is such an unnecessary effort. We need to make that movement towards a cleaner economy. We need to make sure that we are taking care of this world, this land right now for the next 7 generations. And when they were looking for all the arguments why we needed this Line 3, jobs was a big one. Who doesn't need a good job? But we all knew what was going to happen, and it has happened. All those jobs, how many of them are really Minnesota workers? Very few of them. And you know what they do? They hire people on as subcontractors. Because when you have subcontractors, you don't have to pay any benefits. You don't have to pay health insurance. You don't have to do any of those other things. So what does Line 3 do? They subcontract. And who does that affect? That affects our people. And once again, it is taking advantage of the disadvantaged. And then I want to talk about our missing and murdered Indigenous women. Three years ago, I introduced a bill in the Minnesota House of Representatives to create a task force. It took me 2 years to get that, which is pretty, and believe me or not, that is pretty fast in the legislature. But we got it done, and they gave us very little money, and they gave us very little time. But we did it. We did it, and we put a report out in December. And the Enbridge people were really upset that we would even assume that any of those workers would be active in the sex trafficking or taking advantage of our women and our two-spirits. They wanted me to prove that was happening anywhere. Well, one of the problems is that nobody ever collected the data. Imagine that nobody collected the data on missing women, missing Indigenous women, or murdered women. And when they did, it was messed and confused with so many other things. And they wanted me to prove that the extraction industry and bringing all these men into one place, into man camps, was not a threat to communities. That's what I said, bullshit. Because we know it's happening now. We know it has happened for generations. It has happened since the first white man stepped onto this continent. And so we're not going to be quiet. We're not going to stop. When people call me and say, hey, there's trafficking at that gas station on the corner in Bemidji.